We have some absolutely huge breaking news. You can see it on the bottom of your screen. Roger Federer, arguably one of the greatest tennis players of all time, has announced that he is retiring from tennis. Of course, we know that he holds several records, 20 Grand Slam titles, 103 career ATP titles. He has dropped a statement on his Instagram page this afternoon announcing that he will retire from tennis after next week's Laver Cup in London, after, of course, failing to recover from that really long-term knee injury. So this is what he's had to say this afternoon. This is what he's announced on his social media. As many of you know, the past 3 years have presented me with challenges in the form of injuries and surgeries. I've worked hard to return to full competitive form, but I also know my body's capacities and limits, and its message to me lately has been clear. I am 41 years old. I have played more than 1,500 matches over 24 years. Tennis has treated me more generously than I ever would have dreamt, and now I must recognise when it is time to end my competitive career. The Laver Cup next week in London will be my final ATP event. I will play more tennis in the future, of course, but just not in Grand Slams or on the tour. Right, so he's reiterating, saying, look, I'm retiring from competitive tennis, not going to be playing in any Grand Slams or on the tour anymore. So tennis great Roger Federer has announced his retirement from the sport. Next week's Laver Cup in London set to be his final ATP event. He is, of course, 41, been ranked world #1 by the ATP for, I think it's 310 weeks in total, a record 237 consecutive weeks, finished the year end #1 5 times as well. Just, I mentioned those 103 ATP singles titles. That's the second most of all times, by the way, all time, after Jimmy Connors, including those 20 Grand Slam singles title, a record 8 men's singles Wimbledon titles, an Open era record tying 5 men's singles US Open titles, and a record 6 year-end championships as well. Didn't play at Wimbledon 2021, of course, dropped out of the top 50 in the world earlier this year, around June 2022, and that was the first time that Roger Federer had actually ever been out of the top 50 since May 2000, the first time in over 20 years. Dropped out of the ATP singles rankings for the first time in 25 years then, in July of this year, and that was the first time he's been unranked since he made his debut back in September 1997. But that shows just how long, well, he dominated, really. I'm just going to go over that Instagram statement again for you. This is what he had to say. This is dropped in the last sort of 10 minutes on his Instagram page, saying, as many of you know, the past 3 years have presented me with challenges in the form of injuries and surgeries. He goes on to say, I've worked hard to return to full competitive form, but I also know my body's capacities and limits, and its message to me lately has been clear. I am 41 years old. I have played more than 1,500 matches over 24 years. Tennis has treated me more generously than I ever would have dreamt, and now I must recognise when it is time to end my competitive career. The Laver Cup next week in London will be my final ATP event. I will play more tennis in the future, of course, but just not in Grand Slams or on the tour. I'm going to bring you some more quotes now from this statement. He says, this is a bittersweet decision because I will miss everything the tour has given me, but at the same time, there is so much to celebrate. I consider myself one of the most fortunate people on earth. I was given a special talent to play tennis, and I did it at a level that I never imagined for much longer than I ever thought possible. I would like to especially thank my amazing wife, Mirka, who has lived through every minute with me. She has warmed me up before finals, watched countless matches, even while over 8 months pregnant, and has endured my goofy side on the road with my team for over 20 years. I also want to thank my 4 wonderful children for supporting me, always eager to explore new places and creating wonderful memories along the way. Seeing my family cheering me on in the stands is a feeling that I will cherish forever. So the huge breaking news this afternoon, arguably one of the greatest tennis players of all time, Roger Federer has announced his decision to retire from tennis.